Welcome, Elaine. Back to the Zoom room. So great to have you back after a few days break. Let's do some practice, shall we?
Yes.
I'll just share my screen with you. All right, so I'll share my screen. All right, so if you can read the
You who want
great.
Okay, yeah. You who want peace can find it only by complete forgiveness, letting go.
Yeah, so you want peace can find it only by complete forgiveness or letting go. That's a quote from the text of the course, early in the text. Clearly states the one and only means that you can find peace while you're seemingly living in this world. Only complete forgiveness, or translated into our alternative language, letting go of all the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, as Yeshua calls the ego's thoughts and emotions in the introduction to the text, will bring you the peace of God, or in our alternative language, the peace of perfect love that surpasses all understanding, as Paul referred to it in his letter to the Philippians. So there's only one thing. I think that's really the refreshing thing about the course. There's only one thing that we need to master, and that's this ability to let go. So Yeshua couldn't be more explicit about the only way to experience peace consistently and awaken from the nightmare of your peace being continuously disturbed by people, events, circumstances, and everything that goes on in the seemingly external world of form. The only question is, will you listen to him, to Yeshua, and be willing to let go as continuously as the ego, which remember is just your stubborn belief in separation, tempts you to believe in separation in whatever form it takes? Will you give in to temptation and indulge in separate and separating thoughts and emotions instead? That's the question. So I hope you make the right choice again. Today, here's the mind training lesson. So if you want to read that, I'll just do it in the alternatives. So where are we? 208. So read the central idea, which is kind of the bread of the sandwich. I like to think of it as, because that's the top kind of bread. Then there's the filler of the main lesson, and then this again. So
I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. And I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as perfect love extends me. And the peace of God is shining in me now.
Yeah, a piece of perfect love.
The peace of perfect love is shining in me now. I will be still and let the earth be still along with me. And in that stillness, we will find the peace of God. It is within my heart which witnesses to God himself.
Yeah. Read the alternative.
Yeah. I will be still and let the earth be still along with me. And in that stillness, I will find the peace of perfect love. It is within my heart that witnesses to perfect love itself.
So thoughts on that?
Well, again, it's learning to be still and allow this peace of God, peace of love to shine through us. And letting the body
Lovely
go.
lesson. It's one of my favorite. Something about the peace of perfect love. Translation particularly works here because of the peace. The
It's
peace
here
of
now.
perfect love is shining in me now. Very poetic and tends to stimulate that state. The peace of perfect love is shining in me now. And you can feel it in your heart. So these words are just pointers to this deeper state. They're very brief pointers to a state of mind that's beyond the words. Okay. Any other thoughts on that? Or
Well, it's a nice lesson.
And then the central idea that runs through all the lessons.
I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. And again, I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as perfect love extends me.
Yeah, so any thoughts on that idea? We've done it now for 8 days in a row. Any you read it again today, does anything strike you?
It's just remembering that we aren't this body, but we soon, if we don't practice, the body will, show itself up. And then we're not free.
Really?
We start, judging.
Quite a statement. I'm not a body, I'm free. I'm still as perfect love extends me. Okay, so I'm going to do a little meditation on this one and then go into the text.
Yeah, could do. Yeah, good.
Well, text is quite short today, so 6 paragraphs. We can probably do that in an hour to an hour and a half.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, so just sitting comfortably, feet shoulder width apart. Back straight, cup your hands on the lap. Close your eyes. Take a nice deep breath in through the nose. Clench the sphincter muscle to lock the energy in. Pull the energy up your spine to your heart center. Put one hand on your heart if you like. Breathing into that. Maximal inhale breath. And then in your mind, notice any thoughts, emotions, related body sensations going on, particularly anything that feels negative, limiting, contracted, constricting in any way. And just breathe into it. The maximum inhale breath and say, I'm not a body. So any thoughts, emotions, related body sensations that are uncomfortable, breathe into them, take another sip of air in. Imagine you breathing peace in. Remind yourself, I'm not a body. I am free. I'm still as perfect love extends me. I'm not a body, I'm free, for I'm still as God created me, or I'm still as perfect love extends me. Breathe that love into every pore, every cell, every muscle of your body, every part of your mind, every fiber of your being. And you breathe this love in, you remind yourself that the peace of perfect love is shining in me now. And you feel that inner radiance. Peace of perfect love is shining in me now. Peace of perfect love is shining in me now. So I will be still. Hear yourself, I will be still. And breathe in, top yourself up with air. And be still and let the earth be still along with me. In that stillness, I will find the peace of perfect love. In the stillness, I will find the peace of perfect love. State the truth to yourself. It's within my heart, the stillness and the perfect love it brings. As you breathe in, just open your heart to it and feel it there. You can feel there's a loving energy in your heart. Feeling to every part of your body. Remind yourself, I'm not a body, I'm free, for I'm still as perfect love extending me. Yours perfect love extends me. Feel that inside you, feel it extending out. And you can just exhale, blow out all of this negativity like a breeze. Blow out. Just exhale for maximal excellence. Letting it all go, breathing it. Letting it all go and surrendering in. Falling. And just exhale, blow it all out. Letting it all go. And nothingness that really is, it's going, gone. And the piece of perfect love is shining in the middle. And you let it go. And rest. Thinking inwards, there's nowhere else to go, nothing else to do, nothing else to think about. You just reflect on and then experience. In my body, I'm free. Nowhere else to go, nothing else to do, nothing else to think about. You just breathe, relax, be still, and sink inward to the light. You just breathe, relax, be still, breathing in and out through your nose, in and out, and let that process happen automatically, happening to you, through you, for you, but never by you. If you find any thoughts coming up that are all disturbing to your peace, just breathe in. Imagine you breathing in blessings of perfect love, so the peace of perfect love shining in you now. So you notice any of those thoughts and emotions that are not happy, caused by whatever, it doesn't really matter what they're caused by, and then you just breathe in again and willing just to let it all go. So the peace of God, or the peace of perfect love, is shining in me now. So I will be still, and let earth be still along with me. In that stillness, I will find the peace of perfect love. Exhale the truth of that. Drop your attention as you exhale down into your heart center. Put one hand in your heart. It is within my heart. Witnesses to perfect love itself. And just letting it all go. Surrendering into this peace of perfect love. Feel it in your heart. Pull your hand to your heart center. Feel the shining there. This peaceful awareness shining. And if there's anyone who comes to mind who don't feel quite so peaceful towards, just let go of it by reminding yourself that peace of perfect love is shining in you now, and so it is. So just abide in this deep state. And sink inwards. It goes beyond words to their true meaning. Just sink inwards to the light that you truly are. Let the peace shine through in your experience. Peace of God or perfect love shines in you now, and just give yourself permission just to experience this fully and completely for the next couple of minutes of deep silence. Just gently coming back from this deep connected state of awareness into the body and the breath, senses and the world. And on the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. So 1, just breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises. Subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. 2, just pausing. Scan your mind. Notice any thoughts, emotions, related body sensations going on, particularly anything that feels negative, limiting, contracted, constricting. In any way. And remind yourself that I'm not a body. I am free. For I am still as perfect love extends me. And so the peace of perfect love is shining in me now. Just feel into those words as you exhale. Blow out any negativity. Letting it all go with the breeze of your breath. To the nothingness that it really is. Count of 2, notice how the air flows out, chest and stomach suck back in. Feel the weight of your body pressing down into the chair, your feet touching the ground. Noticing what you feeling and touching. And there's a subtle smell as you breathe in again. Taste in your mouth, perhaps. And notice what you're hearing in the surrounding environment. Just noticing all these things from this very still, calm, peaceful, surrendered state. State of mind of deep peace beyond delusions. Anchor the state in. Set the intention to stay here for the rest of the session, evening on into the weekend. And so it is. And so on the count of 3 now, open your eyes. Just look around for a minute, noticing what's around you in the room, and your eyes rest on any object. Without judgment. Everything's peaceful, notice that. So you look at an object, it's an underlying peace, the same peace as you experienced. When you're in your meditation, it's still there. Notice that peace is still there when you close your eyes, it's there when you open your eyes, it's there when you look at something else. So look at another object. There's the same state, same peace. And another object, and you close your eyes, and you open your eyes randomly, open, close. It's the same peace whether your eyes are open or closed. Same peace, whatever object you're looking at. So you're training your mind in this way that this peace is always there. It's an unshakable peace that can never be disturbed in truth. And you can stay rooted in this peace no matter what seems to be happening on the level of form. That's why it's called the peace that surpasses all understanding, because it surpasses all intellectual understanding. Can't really understand it or grasp it from the intellect. It's just there. It is. God is, and then we rest in the ineffable peace and stillness that are the very essence of this presence we call God, this loving awareness called God. So yeah, I set the intention to stay in this peace, not just for the rest of this evening, but on into your weekend. It's a lovely lesson. Just remind yourself to help you to do that the peace of perfect love is shining in me now. And so it is. So that brings us to the end of the meditation and the first part of tonight's session. All right, so shall we have a look at today at the text reading then?
Yeah.
Can you do that? All right. So just stop that now. Okay. So this one is called The State of Sinlessness, or translated into alternative language, The State of Innocence. Section 5 of chapter 25. 6 paragraphs. So let's jump into it, shall we? So if you can read paragraph 1, Elaine.
Yeah.
Much translation, not really. So sinlessness is going to become innocence, and the Son of God becomes the extension of perfect love. Those are the main translations there. So you want to read an alternative then?
Yeah. The state of innocence is merely this: the whole desire to attack is gone, and so there is no reason to receive the extension of perfect love as other than it is.
Yeah. As other than it is, as something other than it is, other than it is. I think that's right.
The need for guilt is gone because it has no purpose, and it is meaningless without the goal of sin. Attack and sin are bound as one illusion, each the cause and aim and justifier of the other. Each is meaningless alone, only seems to draw a meaning from the other. Each depends.
That seems to draw a meaning from the other. All right,
It seems.
yes. AI doing it.
Oh, okay.
It just seems to do that. It's learned that I like to replace but with only, so then it does that, but it's not always appropriate.
It seems to draw a meaning from the other. Each depends upon the other for whatever sense it seems to have. And no one could believe in one unless the other were the truth. For each attests the other must be true.
Yes, maybe each seems to witness. Seems to witness the truth of the other. I actually had a lesson in this morning. I was due to phone someone about a business transaction. I'm trying to engage with him, and he's one of those guys who's just never on time. He's chaos. It's like, oh no, I'm in a meeting, I'm doing this, I'm in a car. It's like, so I said, okay, 10 o'clock, can we meet? Will you make sure you're available? Yes. Confirms the night before. I'm like, okay, so we try. So of course I phone it was actually 9 o'clock our time, and he's not available. He doesn't pick up, even though we've arranged it the night before. So okay, so I send him a reasonably polite message saying, we were supposed to speak at 10, or are you going to be available? And then I saw him coming online. He got the message, so I called him, I don't know, half an hour later. And he was so aggressive. It was so interesting. He got really hot under the collar, and he was like swearing. And I was like, "Why? Why is he? I'm just saying, this is what I need to progress this.
Yeah.
I need, this document from you." But he was aggressive because of sin, because he felt guilty. That's why. Because on some level he knew that it's not right to arrange to show up at 10 o'clock and then you don't. No one can feel good about that, especially when it's the night before. Yes, yeah, no. He'd suggested 10 South African time, and so I'm like, okay. And then I said, please, can you make sure that you're available for half an hour so we can have a proper conversation? And he couldn't do it. He wasn't available. It's like, okay, so then he's feeling guilty, isn't it? Yes. And that's why he gets angry. It's not really about what I'm asking, but he lost it a bit. I was like, well, I said, I'm just the messenger. I'm telling you what these people I'm dealing with require from you. Oh, I make money and I do this and F this and F that, and you can all go F yourselves and da 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 da. On and on he's going. And I was like, whoa, that's an extreme ego reaction. But on reflection, I understand why, because he felt guilty, and so anger, goes with that feeling of sin and guilt, and because I'm fairly certain he's never done any Course in Miracles. I very much doubt.
It doesn't sound like it. Yeah.
No, he's well into the ego's world of, I make money. You oaks are just all dealers and agents, and I'm the oak who makes money, and I'm running. It's like very self-invested in the money making, and his status as whatever he thinks. But nevertheless, he knows on some level it's not right to say, I'll meet you at this time and then not be available. That's not really a good, it's not respectful.
No.
So then he gets angry, and loses it over, something pretty minor. I'm just saying, he says, well, what do you need from me? I'm like, well, this is what I need from you. Oh, well, why are you asking this? I'm like, well, because you just said, what do you need from me? So I'm saying, this is what I need, to progress things. But I stayed calm. I was like, okay, I didn't react. I just said, well, you're just getting angry with the messenger. I'm just telling you what's required. No, I make money. I'm like, yeah, but they don't know that you make money. They don't know who you are. So they need some proof of your bona fides. So that's why we need a letter from you, an offer on your letterhead, because they have no idea who you are. So you might think you're great. I didn't say that, but not everyone knows that. But it was an interesting lesson, and exactly now confirmed in the dynamics of sin and then anger and attack, that they go together. If you feel sinful and guilty, then you will attack, because your ego can't stand it, and so it has to offload that feeling, that uncomfortable feeling, onto someone else.
So does that go with
anger?
And that goes with other emotions like depression or feeling stressed? Is that different? Any feeling of negative?
Stress is a form of anger.
So that's also a form of guilt.
I'm feeling irritable. I'm feeling upset in any way. It's all forms: frustration, irritation. It's all all forms of fear, really. Fear and sin and attack are all bound up as one thought system. So if you want to look at where are we? Have a look at this diagram, which we look at often, but it's because it illustrates the relationship of all these components of the ego. So if you believe in guilt and sin, then fear is a result. The fear of punishment is inevitable. And the fear of punishment and attack in the form of accusation and blame and attack thoughts are bound up, right? If I'm fearing this false expectation of punishment appearing real, you see that inherent in that is attack. I must believe that I can be attacked if I fear punishment. And so attack has now become real for me. And if it can be done to me, I can also do it. So I can attack others, and now I can be attacked. All of that perpetuates the illusion of fear, which is a false expectation of punishment appearing real. And that makes guilt and sin real, because it's the projection then of the guilt outwards as fear and attack thoughts. And so what he's saying is that it's two sides of the same coin. That guilt and sin and attack are intertwined. They're bound together. Attack and sin are bound together as one illusion, each the cause, aim, and justifier of the other. So if I feel sinful, then I feel guilty, then I feel fearful, and I'm going to be punished. Therefore, attack seems to be justified because I'm going to be punished for my attack. And then I also project that feeling out onto others, and I now attack them to get rid of the guilt and the sin. So guilt is sin and guilt are the cause of the attack thoughts, but then the attack thoughts breed sin and guilt as well. So it feeds back. Because I've attacked someone, then what happens? I feel guilty. So that interaction we had, he probably wouldn't have felt great after that, because he's like, well, I didn't treat him very nicely, swearing. So first of all, he doesn't show up. Then he feels guilty. So he projects that out onto me as attack. And then, that's now a cause for further guilt, because he hasn't behaved very kindly and nicely. He will feel that on some level, and then his guilt will be perpetuated, which will in turn justify further attacks. You see how the system works.
Oh,
And
yeah.
of course, if you're not conscious of how the ego works, you have no idea what's happening. He just thinks, well, I'm angry because all these people are, irritating, and whatever, he justifies it. But actually he's angry because he feels guilty. And then because he's attacked, he feels more guilty. And so it becomes a vicious circle. The one reinforces the other, perpetuates. They perpetuate each other, and he ends up being quite a stressed, angry guy, which I think he is. And it can all be avoided if you simply are willing to let go. Who's willing to question it and let it all go and say, no, it's not about the external. I'm not really angry for the reason I think. I'm not upset for the reason. I'm not upset because this guy is asking me for something. I'm upset because of my own guilt. Then you can start to correct this kind of behavior. Otherwise, it just perpetuates, and he lives in a world of guilt and sin and fear and attack, and thinking, well, I'm so great. His special self saying, well, I'm wonderful and great, but actually not at all, because he's caught up in these negative states for a lot of his time, feeling guilty, sinful, attacking, rush. Clearly there's no peace. It's like, no, I'm going here, I'm busy with this, I'm busy with that. That's just the ego mind, isn't it? Busy.
Yeah.
No peace of mind, running to the next thing, the next meeting, the next deal, the next da. And I can never make time. I mean, I'm going, well, I can't really help. I've got a potential investment for him, but I can't really help you if you won't show up for a meeting on time. That's like base level. If you're meeting people who are professional, they expect you to be on time, not to be running around in a car, dodgy mobile signal. Okay, be on time, be there. Give it its proper due. Give it the half an hour to an hour where you're sitting in front. Okay, even if you're not on a computer, you're on a phone, but you've got a stable connection. You can sit, you can talk properly. It's like, give it its due. So it's probably never going to work because you just can't do that. So, he's not going to ever probably sit down unless he has a radical personality change and does some spiritual practice. He's not going to be able to sit down and just focus. Go, okay, I can just sit down and focus and cut everything else out and give this particular thing its due and be on time. So yeah, that was my lesson for today. Another forgiveness lesson. Finally, I had one the day before. Another guy didn't show up. It's just so interesting. So obviously there's something there for me. So he didn't show up twice. We did a morning meeting. Doesn't show up. No, sorry, I got caught up in a workshop. Really? Okay. Now what you're saying is you made the choice to stay in the workshop rather than come and meet us. That's what you really, the workshop's more important to you, in other words, than meeting people who are waiting for you, which is an interesting choice to make. Then I'm like, okay, well, we'll rearrange for this afternoon. What time suits you? No, 4 o'clock. I can. Really? I said, definitely. Yes, no problem. Okay, so we rearrange. Both two people show up, make their time available. No show. Not available. And then I message him, nothing until 40 minutes into the meeting. Oh, I'm really sorry. You guys still there? I'm like, chaos. And then, no doubt some guilt. I said, well, we got to go now. Sorry, So I don't know where we stand. That's two no shows. Like, what? So we arrange another meeting and you don't show up again. So I thought I have to say something. I mean, you can't just go. I said, look, it's not professional. It's not professional to do this. You need to, if you're going to cancel, let people know half an hour in advance. It only takes 30 seconds to send a text message or a voice note these days. So, I mean, unless it's a life or death emergency, there's no excuse really to not let people know. It's just a lack of respect, a lack of care, a lack of being able to organize yourself, and just get your stuff together so that you can be where you said you were going to be on time. But it's interesting how, these basic things,
Turning up for you.
Many people can't do them. They really struggle. So I didn't condemn him. It's like, well, you just can't, you can't quite cut it. So I said, I suggest we have another meeting with some of your principals who I know, and get a couple of other people in the room. So it's not just you, because unfortunately he's lost all credibility now, the other guy. It's like, well, we need to get some other people in to kind of try and restore this. Yeah. Anyway, that's just a couple of lessons in the world that are illustrative of the ego thought system, particularly today. The guy getting angry, the guilt and the sin and the attack. The reason why he attacked was because he was feeling guilty, because he hadn't shown up, and he knew that was wrong on some level. However much money you're making and however hotshot you think you are, it's spiritually incorrect to arrange a meeting and not show up and not have the courtesy to let anyone know, because it's a lack of respect for your brother. And so on some level he knows that, then he feels guilty, and he tried to, I'm busy and I've got people in the car and I'm always busy. Okay, well, why did you say you'd be available at 10 o'clock then? So he's feeling that guilt, and then he doesn't know how to deal with it. So then he projects it out and he starts getting, really angry. So that's, just a good case study in how the ego works. All right. Just going to switch on my mic quickly. Getting rather gloomy. You notice the light getting compared with midsummer, it's getting darker a lot earlier.
Yes, I have. Yes, that's why I'm shutting the curtains, because everybody can see in. Yeah. It is getting darker.
All right. So yeah. Any other comments? Did you summarize number one?
Well, it just letting you know what innocence is. It means that the whole desire to attack is gone. You're just pure innocence. So there's no reason to get upset about anything. The guilt is gone. It has no purpose, and it is meaningless without the goal of sin. So, the need for guilt is gone because it has no purpose, and it's right, yeah. And of course, attack and sin are bound together as one illusion, and each justify each other.
Yeah, I mean, that's really the key point. Can you see why? I mean, this diagram illustrates exactly why. Because guilt demands fear, because you think you've done something wrong. Fear is the fear of punishment. So then attack is made real. If you fear, then you must fear that you can be attacked. And so attack is now made real. And if you can be attacked, then you can also attack. It's a double-edged sword. You can do either. If you've made attack real in your mind, you can attack and you can be attacked.
Yeah.
And so the guilt and is the ultimate cause. The separation is the ultimate cause, but the guilt really is where the separation gets nasty. And it is the source then of all the nasty other stuff, the fear and the attack. Because up to that point, it's like, okay, well, I've got an individual self. Woohoo, that's nice. I can be my own self. I'm special, have my own unique identity. Aren't I great? And then it's like, okay, but now the problem in your mind is that you destroyed God in your mind in order to do this. So you can't help but feel guilty because of that. And the guilt demands punishment. The punishment appears to be real, which makes attack seemingly real. And now you've got a thought system of guilt, sin, fear, and attack, which self-perpetuate. Because as I play it out, the attack seems to justify more guilt. And it goes round. I attack someone, I hurt them, then I feel guilty for doing that. And so that reinforces my guilt and my separate self. And now I'm likely to fear and to attack again. And I get caught up in that cycle until the Holy Spirit can help me to reinterpret it and see it differently. And realize that it's actually it's all a dream. That I was never guilty for anything. I didn't really do anything. Okay, so number 1 clear?
Yeah.
One. Move on to number 2 then. So but to translate here, so I think read the original, sentence by sentence, and then the alternative.
Attack makes Christ your enemy and God along with him. Attack makes my true self my enemy and pure awareness, perfect love along with it. Must you not be afraid with enemies like these? Must I not be afraid with enemies like these?
Oh my God, should not be afraid. And Nodi puts it in quotes, enemies like these, because they're not really enemies. Just seemingly.
Yeah. And must you not be fearful of yourself? And must I not be fearful of myself?
Make it should.
Should I not be fearful of myself? Yeah. For you have hurt yourself and made yourself your enemy. For I have hurt myself and made my true self my enemy. And now you must believe you are not you, but something alien to yourself and something else, as something to be feared instead of loved. Oops. And now I must believe I am not me, only something alien to myself and something else, a something to be feared instead of loved. Who would attack whatever he perceives as wholly innocent? Who would attack whatever they perceive as wholly innocent? And who, because he wishes to attack, can fail to think he must be guilty to maintain the wish while wanting innocence? And who, because they wish to attack, can fail to think they must be guilty to maintain the wish while wanting innocence? For who could see the Son of God as innocent and wish him dead? For who could see the extension of pure formless awareness of perfect love as innocent and wish it dead? Christ stands before you. Each time you look upon your brother, my true self stands before me. Each time I look upon my companion. And he has not gone because your eyes are closed. It has not gone because my eyes are closed. But what is there to see by searching for my Saviour, seeing him through sightless eyes? But what is there to see by searching for my Saviour, seeing it through sightless eyes?
What was there to see by searching for my Savior? I awaken now while, what did you say, is while trying to.
Yeah, but what is there to see but searching for my awakening, while trying to see it through sightless eyes? Don't get that one.
Huh? You get it, Jan? Do you get it or
No.
don't? Okay.
No.
Maybe
To see by
what,
searching for your Saviour. I
what,
take awakening.
what can I? What can I?
But what can I see
What
by
can I
searching?
perceive? I'm searching for my awakener while trying to see it through sightless eyes. What can I keep the see? What can I? How about find? That might be better than see. What can I find by searching for my awakener while trying
Sightless eyes.
to find it? Sightless eyes, yeah. So these are eyes that don't really see. These are the eyes of the ego.
Right. Right.
I'm trying to find it with
My separate self's eyes. Oh,
yeah.
without my separate self's eyes.
Yeah,
No.
without my, well, trying to find it without my
True self.
true self vision.
Yeah, that's right. I've got that.
So it's like looking in the, you're trying to find something, but you're blindfolded. You can't really see, so you're not likely to find it because you're stumbling around blindfolded in the dark, and you can't really expect to find it then.
Yeah.
Okay, so you want to read it from the top? Just make sure we got the translations okay, and then give a brief summary.
Attack makes my true self my enemy, and pure formless awareness of perfect love along with it. Should I not be afraid with enemies like these? And should I not be fearful of myself? For I have hurt myself and made my true self my enemy. And now I must believe I am not me, only something alien to myself and something else, something to be feared instead of loved. Who would attack whatever they perceive as wholly innocent? And who, because they wish to attack, can fail to think they must be guilty to maintain the wish while wanting innocence? Or who could see the extension of perfect love as innocent and wish that it were dead? My true self stands before me each time I look upon my companion. It has not gone because my eyes are closed. But what can I find by searching for my awakener while trying to find it without my true self's vision? Yeah. So, attack of any kind to the true self and the pure formless awareness is making them our enemies. And should we, should I not be afraid with these enemies? We are obviously going to ask ourselves this. Or should I not be fearful of myself? So we have a choice. Yes, I suppose it goes for my situation with my special relationship with my sister, I suppose. Yeah, I suppose, yeah. She's my companion and I've judged her for, yeah. So I've hurt myself by judging her and made my true self my enemy, yeah. And so I must now believe I'm not me. So that me is my separate self. I've got to understand this separate self that judging and attacking is not really me. It's something alien in myself. Yeah.
An imposter in your mind. The thought that seems to be quite persistent and powerful, but that's not real.
Yeah.
This tiny mad idea that's just playing itself out in your mind.
Yeah.
Is insane.
Oh, it is, yeah. But it repeats and repeats, doesn't it, throughout the years and decades? Yeah.
Einstein said it very well. He said, this may be a reality, seeming reality may be an illusion, but it's a very persistent one.
Cool.
A very persistent illusion. So we've invested greatly in it. We've projected. Bear in mind, all of this is going on in your mind. Whatever you're seeing is going on in your mind. It's a projection of the mind. Now, how exactly are we doing that at the same time as perceiving it? We've forgotten.
Yeah.
We've forgotten how we're doing that. So that's how lost we become in our own dream.
Yeah.
Forgotten how we did it. And now we sit at the base level of.
So I've judged and attacked my sister for her behavior yesterday, which really I should forgive. Is that right? Because it's not real.
Yeah, which is why, forgiveness is always justified. Because what she's showing you is the ego, the separate self, which is the denial of the true self. So she's showing you the opposite of the true self and love.
Yeah.
And you're just saying, well, how can you ever find who you are, your true self and pure formless awareness of perfect love, if you continue to focus on what's not real?
Yeah.
You have to learn to overlook it.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was just an example. Yeah. So I'm sort of, in a way, attacking my sister for her behavior and judging. And it's a projection coming from me, which is not real. And it's, I'm making my true self an enemy there. And then at this bottom one, but what can I find by searching for my awakener while trying to find without my true self's vision? So nothing's ever going to be true unless I make a choice to take this true self's vision instead of judging and attacking somebody else's behavior. Well, special relationship behavior. Yeah. Mm. Mm.
So I'll never find this true self if I look with the special self.
No,
Well,
no,
it's to me that specialness is real, that people are, are the egos, and then we condemn them. The examples I had of these two guys who, behaved, both of them not on a level of
disrespectfully.
well,
Yeah, disrespectfully.
but that's not who they really are. So
Right.
there's no condemnation. So okay, well, we let it go and we move on. I'll still try and work with both of them.
Yeah.
And because of that forgiveness, maybe something will happen that's constructive and positive.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you just go, wow, okay, that's it. You've
Which is what
sinned.
Yeah, that's what the ego wants to do. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. No deal. We don't deal. Well, that's not particularly forgiving, is it?
No. However, though, you wouldn't want to continue to put up with the disrespectful behavior. So how you've got to be careful not to be a doormat as well, if you know what I mean.
Well, that's why I said to him, it's not really acceptable to do that. But okay, we can if we have a relationship with someone else in your organization, and you bring them on board and we meet them, and I know I was referred to him by someone, then yeah, maybe another meeting could work. And it's likely that if he's not on his own, then he'll show up, or at least someone will show up, so we won't be let down again, because he's clearly quite unreliable.
So he'll just eventually it'll just happen naturally, organically, but in a loving way. There's not going to be an enemy there. It'll just probably dissipate. You'll either leave or
maybe nothing happens, or maybe it does, and this
works
is
well.
test.
Yeah.
Because the ego tries to block whatever's constructive and positive. So this is what I find fascinating about business, is it's all lessons, because the business is about relationships.
Oh yeah.
So you're always dealing with other people, so it involves relationships, and the quality of those relationships determines the outcome of the business largely. So it's all about relationships. Well, that's a primary area that this course addresses, your relationships and how to go.
Right.
So it's great, this kind of mind training is great training for dealing with these ups and downs of okay, well, you never know what people are going to do, and you are going to get quite a lot of ego involved in a lot of these positions. But can you overlook that and still find peace? And it's almost like your lesson. My lesson, I'll put it in the first person, is to stay in peace, while all this is happening, no matter what. That's the real lesson. What happens on the level of form is secondary. These things may or may not work.
Yeah.
That doesn't really matter that much. What matters is, am I actually learning lessons and overcoming, all these issues that the ego has brought in to block the awareness of love's presence. A lack of trust, it's a scarcity, so things don't work. Can you make these things work? A sense of loss often. Okay, is it actually going to work or not? Attachment. Are you attached, desiring, and then fearing that it won't work, and desiring that it will work? These are all spiritual questions.
But with my case, with my sister, she's sort of the only one. I've got such a small family, and I've sort of got it that she's all I've got. So it's sort of, I've made her very important. So the ego is desiring us to be wonderful sisters together, You see other sisters that get on so well, and I want to be like them. So that's what the ego is wanting. And it's sort of a bit sad because I really know that it's basically all I've got left. Because I've got no family. So it's it's an attachment. I think that's why I'm feeling sad, because the ego's not getting what it wants.
Yeah. Well, it's a special relationship, if you can see it for what it is.
Yes.
That's helpful. And
And
a
I'm
special
wishing
relationship
Yeah.
is a substitute for the love of God. It can never give you what you really want, which is this connection with your true self and your source that is eternal. It doesn't. Well, it's a good lesson in the vacillations and the variability of the ego, wasn't it? I mean, it's just from one day to the next, totally different.
Oh yes, yeah, we were like sisters that I would love to have, and then the next day, no, yeah, so very vacillating.
Showing you the special relationship can't be relied on for any kind of permanent happiness, peace, satisfaction.
No.
Only a holy relationship can, and that's a relationship in which complete letting go on both sides has happened. Your job is to do it on your side, because that's all you can do. You can't do it for her. But,
no.
You can completely let go, really, of the attachment to the relationship, saying, well, I think I want something from this relationship that's valuable to me.
Yeah. Yes.
If you can drop that, then none of the dark stuff that an ego harbors can't hurt you. Just let it go.
Good lesson.
Very good lesson.
Yeah.
And so this is how life goes. Life happens, and then you get your lessons as part of the life experiences you have. And then the key thing is, the reason why we practice is because it reminds us of these principles, so that we can actually learn the lessons, and you don't just make the same mistakes again and again.
Yeah.
Without even being aware they're mistakes. So, that chap I mentioned who got angry, that's a pattern. You can tell that's a long-standing pattern that he has, and he probably does it many times. Maybe several times a day. This is his pattern. And so he's caught up in it. And unless he is willing to do the work to change that, it will just carry on, and it will probably get worse over time. And if you really go deep into the ego, it has very negative consequences to health, well-being, to the state. If you're in business, the health of your business, and so on. So he's probably heading for some kind of a crisis, which will make him look at that. That's what happens. If you don't listen to the little nudges of spirit, then a crisis comes along, and then it's a big thing, and then you've got to deal with it. Which can be very hard when you're very attached, because he's like, well, you can see he's identified with his business and the status he has as a business owner, and he's making money, and that's now his identification, self-concept. Well, if that is threatened, because let's say his health fails or his business is failing, he will suffer greatly because of that identification. But in that suffering, he could awaken. There's always the opportunity to awaken to something higher. But in order for someone like that to awaken out of his pride and his arrogance, there needs to be quite a lot of suffering. That's how it goes, because he's not going to willingly go, oh yes, yeah, of course, yes, I'll, of course, some miracles, yeah, absolutely, no, I'm open to that. I'm interested, I'd like to know more. No, he's not even close to that.
No.
So the only way that a mind like that's going to learn is, okay, there needs to be some stress, some trauma, maybe enough to really humble him. So it's like, okay, well, I'm on my knees now, and I really don't know what to do, and my ego's failed me. This self-concept that he's invented has totally failed him, left him on his knees in a desperate position, and then maybe he's willing to consider that maybe he's been wrong all along. This isn't actually how life works. It's no kind of way to live your life. Okay.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, very good. So happy with number 2?
Yes.
I think you summarized it. So, and it's always helpful to look at examples, isn't it?
Oh, it is.
And
Yes.
you learn by the example. Okay, so I can see how this actually plays out in so-called real life.
Yeah.
In my life, in these situations.
Mm-hmm.
And that's essential, because otherwise you don't apply this course. It's just a theoretical exercise.
Exactly. Yeah.
Nice sounding words, and you might read them, but it's about application into your life, and to see, that what he's saying is true, that it does actually play out like this.
Mm.
The ego works like this. You can see it, and then, the Holy Spirit's letting go, frees you from this self-created prison. All right, so we'll look at number 3 then. It is not Christ again. Read it in the original and the alternative.
It is not Christ you see by looking thus. It is not my true self I see by looking in this way. It is the enemy confused with Christ you look upon. It is the enemy confused with my true self I look upon. And hate because there is no sin in him for you to see. And hate because there is no sin in my companion for me to see. Nor do you hear his plaintive call, unchanged in content, in whatever form the call is made, that you unite with him and join with him in innocence and peace. Nor do I hear their plaintive call, unchanged in content, in whatever form the call is made, to unite and join with him in innocence and peace. And yet beneath the ego's senseless shrieks, such is the call that God has given him, that you might hear him his call to you, and answer by returning unto God what is his own. And yet beneath my belief in separation's senseless shrieks, this is the call that the pure formless awareness of perfect love has given them, so that I might hear in him its call to me, and answer by returning to pure formless awareness of perfect love what is its own.
Just read it from the top. Sure, not the translation. Okay.
It is not my true self I see by looking in this way. It is the enemy confused with my true self I perceive. And I hate because there is no sin in my companions for me to perceive. Nor do I hear their plaintive call, unchanged in content, in whatever form the call is made, to unite and join with him in innocence and peace. And yet, beneath my belief in separation's senseless shrieks, this is the call that pure formless awareness of perfect love has given them, so that I can hear them, its call to me, and answer by returning to pure formless awareness of perfect love, what is its own.
Okay, so thoughts on that? What's he saying in number 3?
Well, it's the enemy in us that's confused with our true self that we see. And hate because there's no sin. Oh, because we just don't like to not see any hate in our companions. We want to see something to keep it alive.
Sin and guilt demands projection.
Yeah.
Can't seeing innocence, which is why in Catholic Church they have this concept of original sin. We're all sinful and guilty at our fundamental nature, according to that. Because the ego can't stand the idea that actually the opposite is true, that we are completely innocent and holy and pure. And sin and guilt deny that entirely. Tell us that we're the opposite of what we are. And yet, beneath these senseless shrieks, I love his language. Senseless shrieks. Gotta laugh. This is the call that pure formless awareness of perfect love has given them. This is the brothers, the companions. So that I can hear in them, it's called to me.
Yeah, so like you with your colleague, well, your business associates, and me with my family.
And these lessons occur in whatever context, personal, family, business, social, because life is so much about other people and our relationship with them. Unless you withdraw from that and you become an ascetic and you live on your own, some kind of hermit. But Yeshua is saying, but that's not the quickest way. Your quickest way is to deal with all of these people, but forgive them all. In other words, what forgiving them means is let go of your own negative thoughts and emotions about them and towards them. That's what forgiveness means. So it doesn't matter what they've done. What matters is how do you react to what they've done.
Yeah.
And that you have control of. You can change your mind and you can be at peace no matter what they do or don't do.
Instead of projecting. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because they're just really a mirror image of us, aren't they?
Oh.
So
they represent the thought system that you want to perceive. If you perceive them as ego, then you are perceiving from your ego. Your separate self perceives theirs, makes it real, says, well, look, there's evidence because they've done this and this and this. And so therefore, they are sinful, they're guilty. Therefore, perfect love is denied and the special separate self is reinforced. I think I am a special self who's judging them, another self, for their so-called sin.
Which is not real, of course. Yeah.
It isn't real. It's a thought system that's unreal. It's just been projected out and now seems to have this power to cause these minds that are lost in this thought system to speak and act, behave in unconscious ways, in ways that are disrespectful, attacking, even hurtful.
I mean, Diane, my sister, I wouldn't say hers was attacking. It was more OCD. It was just, over the top with her behavior.
Yeah, so fear. In her case, it was fear.
Yes, yeah. So it wasn't so much like your business associate. Hers was fear. Yeah, that's the one. Yes.
People have different different flavors of this egoic thought system. He would be at a level of probably 150, 175, maybe, if you look at the map of consciousness. Yeah, a lot of that kind of stuff, definitely. You know, he talks a good game, and oh, we're going to do this, and we're going to do this. When I first met him, I was like, really? You know,
full of promises.
Well, exactly, full of huge promises, and then you start going, you know, it sounds a bit too good to be true, really. No, I've got 300 trucks. I'm doing this, and no, we'll do this, and you know, he can do anything. Apparently, he's Superman.
Right.
So that's the inflation, you see.
Right. Yeah.
So it's interesting when you look at these models and these diagrams and so on, because you see, you know, their application they actually do apply in practice to help you to understand what's going on in this.
So where would my sisters come into? Because hers is, well,
let me finish with him first. So he's probably sits at this level of 175, which is pride, demanding. Yeah, so interesting, because I made a demand of him, and he's like, well, you know, screw you, I'm not interested. Like, because in his mind, he's the one who makes the demands, but I can imagine he's very demanding of others. So there's all this pride and stuff going on, which is a massive defense against the ego, because at pride 175, defense of the ego, you think you know what's happening in the world. You're very convinced, you know, that your model of the world is correct and this is right. And in his mind, well, he's got justification for that because he's got a successful business and he's making money, and you know, even said that. So then he's trying to justify, oh well, you know, I can behave however I want because I'm successful. So that's the pride. And that's a huge block, because unless he's humble, he can't ever go to courage. Courage requires a humility. Saying, well, actually, maybe I don't have all the answers. Maybe, you know, there's a lot I need to learn still. And I've got to have the courage to, you know, face up to that. Realize that, you know, maybe I actually really have been fairly lost my entire life. And everything I've done hasn't really worked. So okay, you know, I need to really listen now and be willing to be taught. I don't know everything. But at pride, you think you know everything. And then, but very quickly, when the pride gets pricked, because I made a demand of it, he says, like, who are you to demand stuff of me? You see how it works?
yeah.
Who are you to demand stuff of me? Even though he said, well, what do you want? I'm like, well, this is what I need. Okay, who are you to demand? Because in the ego's view at this level, you do, you know, the ego does the demanding of others. So that's why I'm sensitive to it. And then very quickly you drop down, he dropped into anger. Okay, so that's the next level down. Pride goes with anger. And that's, you know, what the pride before a fall. You fall down the ladder of consciousness into a lower level of anger, which then seems to be justified by your pride. Well, you know, this person has not respected me, so therefore my anger is justified. That was what was going on in his mind. Because I'm asking him for some basic, you know, stuff that's going to prove who he is. He's like, well, I don't need to prove it, you know, I'm making money. Well, actually you do, because they don't know you. They don't really care. They just want to see, you know, are you genuine? Can you do business? So are you willing to humble yourself and go through some kind of due diligence process? Because, you know, no one's above that. But he's like, no, I'm above that. So it's probably likely, I mean, I'm wasting my time. Nothing will ever happen. Because with those things going on, that just is a block to any kind of genuine willingness to listen. And to say, okay, well, yeah, fair enough, I'm sorry. They didn't apologize. Say, I'm sorry, I'm off now, lad. Not genuine. It's like, yeah, no. I'm not a genuine, no, I'm really sorry. I just, whatever. And take a minute to just do that at the top of the beginning of the conversation. You didn't really do that. You just glossed over it. So, well, no, I'm busy, and so he justifies, he justifies it. When you understand this, it's like, I mean, it's pretty unlikely, given his where he's at, that I'll be able to work with, because it's a negative energy, it's a negative energy, it's life destructive, and so it will destroy things rather than create things. And nothing has happened. I've known him now for a couple of months, and there's nothing constructive that's happened in all that time. So I think I might just walk away and leave it. But interesting, because I've got a lesson from it, so that's useful.
Yeah.
And then your sister, you're saying, well, where would your sister be?
Yeah, because she's a bit on the same level, isn't she? She's a proud lady. She's certainly not, what's that one there? Punitive, no. Or withdrawn, no. That's not her. So, yeah, she's a bit of a mix, actually, in this.
Right? You just get angry?
No. Fear. She has fear.
But
I wouldn't.
We've all got a kind of a base level. We gravitate. What is it?
Got a bit of a mix there.
State, the default state of mind. That's the question, and that would be your general level. But then it's a scale, so you can bounce up and down this.
Yeah, hers is a bit of a bouncing up. Yeah, which is not, like I say,
at negative. If you're a negative consciousness, you're going to be bouncing sometimes between a number of these levels.
Right.
So you might start off with pride, and then you go to anger, and maybe there's some fear mixed in there, and so
anxiety. I would say she's more in the anxiety rather than fear.
Yeah, so maybe her base level is anxiety. That's her dominant state of mind.
Yeah.
So most of the time she's in that state. Then this
sometimes
then would
blame as well. Blame. She can sometimes be in the blame one as well. So good old mix there.
Yeah. So the blame, fear and blame go hand in hand. Because if I'm fearing, then I'm fearing that I'm going to be punished. And now I've got to offload that burden of being punished onto someone else, and so I project that out as my own guilt produces blame. That makes sense?
It does.
Okay. So number 3, thoughts on that? Summary of that, maybe.
Well, I did a little bit there, didn't I? I mean, it's. What did I say? Well, just as we were saying about the true self, we refuse to look at it. We look at it in the separate self as the enemy. And we only recognize hate in it, and just won't entertain the true self if we're in that other separate self. And nor do I hear the call, because we get often these nudges and calls to bring us to our innocence and peace, but we can just ignore them. But beneath the separate self's senseless shrieks, there's always calls for pure formless awareness of perfect love. It's up to us to recognize it.
Yeah, well said. So that I can hear in them, it's call. So everyone is calling me back to innocence and peace, even if they don't seem to be. Especially maybe if they don't seem to be. So they're projecting out guilt and sin and attack. That is a call for love. And it's a great opportunity then to correct your own mind and find your way out of the ego's thought system. So everyone, offers me the truth. I can see it in everyone. Anything else you want to share there?
No, that was very clear.
Again and again, almost in every section, he talks about, we see in our brothers, in our companions, what we want to see in ourselves. That's the Lord.
Oh, I believe that, yes.
And so over and over, he drums that in. You go, well, he's told us already. He has to keep telling us because he knows how cunning the ego is, and that it's set up the world according to people precisely so that you do get confused and you do get tempted by these figures in the dream to judge them. Okay, so number 4, shall we move on? Son of God, just one translation. Forgiven will be letting go. So the Son of God is the extension of perfect love. We'll read that and then turn it to.
The extension of perfect love asks only this of me, that I return to my companion what is his due, so that I may share my source's perfect love with him. Alone.
Companions, what is their due? See, then we take out the gender issues.
Yeah.
And I may share my source's perfect love with them. Okay, so neither they have it. So it must remain useless to both.
Yeah, so it must remain to both. Together it will give to each an equal strength to awakening. The other.
Awakening.
And awaken himself along with his companion.
Yes, so awaken themselves. Along with their companions.
Along with their companions. Released by me, my awakener offers me awakening. Condemned by me.
The original would be forgiven by you, your Savior offers you salvation. And released by me, my awakener offers me awakening. When released by me, that's why everyone is your awakener, because they offer you your awakening. When you are willing to completely let go of your negative thoughts and emotions about them.
Condemned by me, he offers death to me. In everyone
So
I perceive.
Let's just state that differently. So if I
condemned by me, he offers death to me.
If I condemn when released by me, my awakeners. So that's everyone. not just one person. My awakeners offer me. Awakeners offer me awakening. I condemn.
If I condemn by me, they
If I condemn them.
condemn them.
Condemn them.
They offer death to me.
Offer death to me, or they offer me death. Offer me death. Yeah, this is quite shocking, right? But that's how it is. If I'm condemning anyone, then I'm believing in the thought system of death, and that's what then is offered to me because of my own belief.
Yeah.
Yeah, number 7.
Yeah. 7. I perceive in everyone only the reflection of what I choose to have them, or them be to me. If I decide against the proper function, the only one they have in truth. Is that right? You want he is they? Gender?
Yeah, them. So that's even everyone, only the function, only the reflection of what I choose to have them be to me. What I choose they are. Or when I choose they must be for me. I decide against their proper function, that only one
They have in truth.
and depriving them of all the joy they would have found if they fulfilled the role performed somewhere as the perfect love gave to them. I should not think the state of pure form is lost to them alone. Carry on.
Okay, where am I? So I'm on 7.
Okay.
I perceive in every.
Huh?
Where am I? Sorry.
I think you're further advanced, but read it. You read it. It's fine. Read it.
Right.
Read it. In fact, read it from the top.
Right. The extension of perfect love asks only this of me, that I return to my companions what is their due, so that I may share my source's perfect love with them, neither have it alone. So it must remain useless to both. Together, it will give to each. Right. Neither have it alone. So it must remain useless to both of us. Together, it will give to each of us an equal strength to awaken the other, and awakening themselves along with their companions, When released by me, my awakeners offer me awakening. If I condemn them, they offer me death. I perceive in everyone only the reflection of what I choose they must be for me. If I decide against this proper function, the only one they have in truth, I am depriving them of all the joy they would have found if they fulfilled the role of pure formless awareness of perfect love gave to them. But I should not think the state of pure formless awareness is lost to them alone. Nor can it be regained unless the way is shown to them through me, so that I may find it walking by their side.
Hmm. So what's he saying here in summary?
Well, the extension of perfect love only asks one thing of us, and is to return our companions, which is their due, that they may share the source of perfect love with all. We're all in this, yeah. None of them be left alone. So it would be useless if you left anybody out. So together we'll give each of us the equal strength to awaken each other. So we awaken, yeah. So this offers us awakening. But if we condemn them, then they're going to offer us death. So it's really, yeah, it's a big forgiveness, letting go section. This.
The key thing around this is the discernment without condemnation. You must be able to tell the difference between the Holy Spirit and the ego. So we could call that judgment. It says that's right-minded judgment. But then he uses judgment in another sense, and he says, well, to judge is you don't want to be judging, and judgment is negative, and judgment is of the ego. But then in other sections he'll say, well, right, you must judge correctly. The Holy Spirit will judge. The ego is unworthy, and so on.
Right.
Rather than judgment, we say discernment. You must see the difference between these thought systems. You must see that the ego is confused and delusional, that it's not real, because otherwise, how do you make a choice? You have to choose against it and for the Holy Spirit. But you do that without condemnation. That's really the key. So someone might be, out of alignment with truth and living in the ego and extending that, acting it out, but you don't condemn them for it, because to condemn them is to make it real, to make their action, their mistake a sin, then perpetuate the guilt and everything that comes from sin and guilt, the whole false self-concept, the fear of punishment, the attack thoughts, anger and attack projected out, fearful, wrathful, vengeful God. All of that comes from condemnation. So by all means discern, yes, that person is not in their right mind. You have to see that, because that's the Holy Spirit's reinterpretation. But that's not judgment in the condemnatory sense. You're not condemning them, just going, well, that's just not spiritually correct. And you see the difference. It's a subtle one, but it's a massive one. And a lot of people get confused about this. Of course, okay, so you're saying I shouldn't judge, but then on the other hand, you're saying, well, I have to judge. In order to listen to the Holy Spirit, I have to choose between the Holy Spirit and the ego, which requires a process of judgment. But now I'm confused, because you're saying judgment is bad. I shouldn't do that in other sections. So what is it? Just the meaning of the word judgment, really. Judgment in the Holy Spirit sense is just discernment. You're able to discern what is going on and to reinterpret it if necessary. So that's right-minded judgment or discernment. And then the wrong-minded kind is the kind that condemns people and says, you are, you've really sinned, you've really done this terrible thing, and now, you're condemned in my mind. And so perpetuates the separate self and sin and guilt and fear and attack. And can you see those two differences, and why judgment in the right-minded sense is necessary, but in the egoic sense of, well, you're guilty and sinful, you're more sinful than I am, why it's completely delusional. And the difference between discernment and judgment, right-minded judgment and wrong-minded judgment. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
Good. Okay, so you understand more than most Christian theologians to see that, because people get horribly confused with this stuff.
Mm.
What's judgment, what's not. So some, if they're more prone to guilt themselves, the traditional theologian believing in sin and guilt, original sin and so on, would really preach this fearful, wrathful, vengeful God. Okay, so anything else in that?
No, I think you've made that very clear.
Yeah. So is lost. So if I lose my connection with source because I'm judging my brother wrongly, then I'm lost to the at-one-ment as well. Okay, happy to move on.
Yeah, yeah.
So number 5, an ultimate paragraph. Some regional alternatives, bit of God going on, that'll become pure form as well as a perfect love. Okay, so there's no sacrifice.
It is no sacrifice that my companion be awakened, for by his freedom I will gain my own. To let his function be fulfilled is only the means to let mine be. And so I walk. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So to let their function only the means to let mine be. Profound statement, really. If I let their function be fulfilled, then so will mine be. So I must allow them to be what they really are, which is the Christ, and give them every opportunity to be that.
By letting go and forgiving.
Yeah. That's the only way. Okay, carry on. So to let their function be fulfilled is the only means to let mine be.
To let their function be fulfilled is only the means to let mine be. And so I walk toward the state of pure formless awareness, or toward victimhood, only not alone.
So victimhood is our translation for hell. Victimhood and suffering, because victimhood leads to suffering. I'm going to this beautiful state of pure formless awareness by correcting my mind and my perception, or
Toward victimhood.
Yeah, and the suffering.
And suffering.
But I don't go alone. But not alone.
How beautiful his innocence will be when I perceive it. And how great my joy will be when he is free to offer me the gift of sight, of pure formless awareness, of perfect love, gave to him for me.
Okay, so we'll just catch up. So it's there. How beautiful innocence will be when I perceive it, and how great my joy will be when they are free to offer me the gift of sight. The formless awareness of perfect love gave to them for me.
Yeah. My companion has no need except that I allow him freedom to complete the task of pure formless awareness of perfect love gave to him. Remember only that what he does, I do as well.
And to them, so the hymn is going to become the gift of sight. Maybe instead of heart, we'll call it vision. Companion. My companions, so companions have no need except that I allow them the freedom to complete the task your formless awareness of perfect love gave to them. So who am I, in other words, to judge where they should be right now in their process?
Mm.
Who am I to say, well, you're horribly unenlightened? Well, they're in a process. Everyone's on a continuum.
Yeah.
In this world, from total separation, a la someone like a Hitler, like completely consumed by the idea of separation, or the extreme of perfect enlightenment, like a Yeshua or Buddha. And everyone is somewhere in between.
Yeah.
So who are we to judge, how quickly or not they should getting this? You've got to see that it's not correct, out of alignment with truth. Fair enough. But you don't condemn them for it. That's the key. Whereas the ego will always seek to condemn them. So the self-righteous, we've all encountered those people holier than thou, often religious. And they look down on you as though you're some evil sinner.
Yeah.
Although they say, well, I'll pray for you, well, I'll pray for you. You need to come back to God and be redeemed and whatever. But actually they are, in their perception, they are condemning you. And they are saying you're a sinner and you're guilty, and they honestly believe that, and they think you're going to hell. And of course, that makes them seem very righteous by comparison. No, well, I'm a believer, and I have the faith, and so I'm going to be okay because I'm going to heaven because I believe, and you're not. You're going to hell. It's a crazy belief system, but many people have it in more, formal, traditional religious contexts. And there's a subtle condemnation there of you as a sinner. You can feel that. It's not a loving, kind, forgiving energy. It's quite harsh and condemnatory and judgmental. All right, so where are we? Remember only that what they do.
Remember only that what they do, I do as well. And as I perceive them, so do I define the function they will have for me until I perceive them differently and let them be what pure formless awareness of perfect love appointed that they be to me.
Pointed. Your arms tonight, perfect love. Guided, dictated, pointed, set. What do you think? Just need to find a better note.
Perfect
And
love.
word for pointed. Decided.
Yeah.
Decided. Not
I think
really.
no.
Hmm?
Appointed's a bit more firmer, isn't it? Is it? Appointed seems a bit more.
Pure formless awareness of perfect love. Hates maybe. But pure formless awareness.
That's a bit hard. Now that gets. Well, it's to the point. The word doesn't go with perfect love, does it?
Dictates. Determines maybe instead of appointed. I think that's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
With pure formless awareness of perfect love.
Determines that they be to me. Yeah.
Determines that they. And he has determined that they be to me, they are to me. They are to me, perhaps. Can I just read that from the top?
It is no sacrifice that my companions be awakened, for be their freedom. I will gain at my own. To let their function be fulfilled is only the means to let mine be. And so I walk toward the state of pure formless awareness, or towards victimhood and suffering, but not alone. How beautiful their innocence will be when I perceive it, and how great my joy will be when they are free to offer me the gift of vision pure formless awareness of perfect love gave to them for me. My companions have no need except that I allow them the freedom to complete the task pure formless awareness of perfect love gave to them. Remember only that what they do, I do as well. And as I perceive them, so do I define the function they will have for me until I perceive them differently and let them be what pure formless awareness of perfect love has determined that they are to me.
What's he saying here?
Well, it's no sacrifice to our companions to be awakened, because by their awakening is my freedom. And so to move towards this state of pure formless awareness, you can choose between that or victimhood and suffering. Again, this is a choice, and by that choice, you give them their innocence, and then you will receive the innocence. And how great the joy will be when they are free, you will be free. And so we must remember what they do, we do as well. So how I see them is what I'm seeing in myself.
And you're really just condemning yourself. That's insane.
Yeah.
How crazy. And we've all done it, haven't we? You're just condemning. Once you realize what you're doing, then you're likely to stop, aren't you? Which is why we need to be trained.
It's easier to let go, whereas it's difficult if you're in the real, annoyance of the ego. It's difficult just to say, well, let that go. You need to sort of break it down, don't you?
Well, you've got to have this kind of mind training to understand why you can let it go.
Yes.
People struggle with forgiveness because you say, well, just let it go. And they go, well, how can I let it go? This is real. I've really done this. It hurts. It's really annoying. It's very painful. Like, how can you say just let it go?
Yes.
So you have to have some higher understanding that, this world is an illusion. That's the only way you're going to let it go in the end. We've been through the three kinds of forgiveness. There's the pseudo forgiveness, which is just condemnation and judgmental. Oh, I forgive you, you miserable sinner. It's not really forgiveness at all. You're just making it real, and you're condemning them for their sin and pretending that it's forgiveness. So that's not forgiveness at all. It's just a false or pseudo forgiveness. Then you get this idea of compassion, which says, well, okay, they've had a difficult life, maybe, they've had various challenges, and so they're behaving this way because of their conditioning and their programming. And so I can't really judge them. I don't know what they've had to deal with, and so I kind of soften my judgment, but I haven't really let it go. This is the problem with compassionate forgiveness, because in my mind it still happened. It's still real, and then I try and mitigate my judgment of it through a process of reasoning, saying, well, okay, they just doing the best they can, and they've had their own challenges. And I'm not saying that can't be helpful temporarily. It's often just a bridge. It's a halfway house between pseudo forgiveness and radical forgiveness, which sits at the that's the gold standard. Radical forgiveness simply looks on everything the ego does and says, and just says, that is not true. None of it's true. The people in my dream aren't true. The characters aren't true. What the characters are saying isn't true. What they're doing isn't true. So none of it's true. In fact, none of it's ever really happened. Forgiveness simply recognizes what you think has happened hasn't really happened. So there's really nothing to forgive, because none of it's true. That's radical, which then gives you the justification for letting go of anything based on that idea, ultimate truth. You can and will let go of everything. Eventually, and just surrender into pure formless awareness of perfect love. Okay.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on that one?
No, you've made that clear. Yeah, it's good.
Well, that's good. I mean, because you're saying this is the text is clear as we go through it. So
Yeah,
that's
you're
the point.
translating it well.
Really understand it. And it's not difficult. It's actually quite a simple teaching.
Yeah,
You know, it's a very simple teaching. There's a couple of key principles. Okay, it's all an illusion. None of it's really real. And then, but you know, as you perceive others, so you will perceive yourself. So if you judge others and condemn others, so you will judge and condemn yourself. So don't do it. It's not a clever thing to do. Really, the two commandments that Yeshua has recorded in the Bible that he made. He said, love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, and soul. So translated, that's accept pure formless awareness of perfect love as your source, wholly and completely. So you're completely in that awareness. But then the second principle was love your neighbor as yourself.
yeah,
Because you realized that you weren't going to be able to merge with God on that level unless you did love your neighbor as yourself. Because if you judge them and condemn them, then you separate yourself off from them and from your source.
Yeah.
So in order to do number one, we must do number two. It's a delusion to think otherwise. I stayed earlier this year with a lady who was quite religious and went to church and played Christian songs the whole time. But she was very judgmental and very harsh. And then she said to me, well, I'm of God, but you're not.
Oh.
So I love God, but I don't love you.
Oh dear.
Yeah,
Right.
oh dear. No. And I had to point out to her, I said, well, you're confused. The commandment is very clear. It's twofold. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, and soul, and love your neighbor as yourself, because you can't do number one properly if you're not doing number two. That's a delusion. In fact, that's the essence of probably all religious hatred and attack and all the violence and attack and death that's gone with fundamentalist religions over millennia. Oh, so we're of God. We have a connection to the Creator. And you're some kind of heathen, infidel, unbeliever who deserves to die because you don't believe as we believe. We've got the direct line to the big guy. He's our guy. He's our God, and he's not yours. So therefore, it's quite justified to hate you, attack you, kill you, do whatever, because you're not of God. Which I said to her, and this is the essence of all evil. So much pain and suffering and evil has been perpetrated in the name of God because of this delusion that you have. Can you not see that?
And did she comment?
No, I didn't get a response.
No.
She picked an argument with the wrong guy.
Yes.
Like, okay, you're not going to win that one, because I'm quoting scripture to her and I'm going, it's like, okay, you're not going to win this one, because it's not a defensible position. In Christian scripture, it's not defensible. If you really understand the scripture, the scripture is saying, love your neighbor as yourself. That's a clear Christian principle.
Which
do unto others as you have to do unto you. The golden rule. So you can't then say, well, I love God, but I don't love you, because that's not what it's saying.
Yeah.
Then you might as well throw your Christianity out of the window, because you're not a Christian. Don't pretend you're then a true Christian if you're not applying the Christian principle of love your neighbor as yourself. Do unto others you have them do unto you. Because that was one of the key teachings of Christ. So you can't just ignore that and say then you're a Christian, because you're not listening to one of his key principles and applying it. But of course, the ego doesn't want to see that. So, oh, no, I'm a good Christian. I go to church, and never mind, like that I feel justified in treating other people unkindly, attacking them. Never mind all that, because no, I convince myself in my delusion. Because I go to church and seemingly a good Christian, and I say my prayers and sing my songs and do whatever, that's okay. It's a delusion. So yeah, to really be authentic Christians, we must give ourselves over, surrender to pure formless awareness of perfect love. But Yeshua is saying that's not just going to happen overnight. The way that you do that is by forgiving your brothers. In our language, let go of your negativity that you feel towards them. That's what forgiveness translates to. Drop all of that negative thoughts and emotion that you think and you feel towards them, because that creates the separation from them. It separates you from your source. You're no longer in pure formless awareness or perfect love. And it's very damaging to your thought system. So we must do both. To love God, you must love the extensions of God, which is everyone. The certainly human beings. It's easier in some ways to love animals, isn't it?
It is. It certainly is.
Because they don't talk back, and they generally quite loving.
They are.
Okay, so animals have their egos too, and some animals, can be fearful and attack. But largely, if you've got a dog, or even if it's a bit of an abused dog or something, it's usually quite loving, and it's quite loyal, and it'll be there for you, and it's always going to wag its tail, and it doesn't have the same level of human ego.
No.
Doesn't speak back, so that's easier. But a big test
is with the humans.
Humans, yeah, it's massive, because they don't do what you think they should do. They don't behave the way you think they should behave. On the level of form, a lot of them are way out of alignment with spirit. No clue. They're just doing whatever. It's crazy stuff. It's chaos. It's hurtful. And yet we still have to see them as who they really are. They're still the true self, or the Christ. They are one with us, and so we have to see that and acknowledge it in order to be saved ourselves. And that's why we do the mind training, because that is hard work. A lot of the time, that's like, okay, I've got to let it go again. Here we got another test, and I'm judging, and I'm feeling that separation, and okay, I've got to let it go because it's not helping me. And so we train and we remind ourselves over and over so that we can do this. And when we're tempted to judge, we don't. We let it go. And we find peace instead. Okay. So well, have you done number 6?
Oh.
I don't think so.
No, yeah.
So let's move on. Happy to move on to 6?
Yeah.
Okay.
Against the hatred and the extension of pure formless awareness of perfect love may cherish toward itself is pure formless awareness, the perfect love, believed to awaken. I just need to bring it up a bit more. So perfect love believed to be without the power to awaken what it extended from the pain of victimhood. But in the love he shows himself in pure formless awareness, the perfect love made free, to let its awareness be present. In my companions, I perceive the picture.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But in the love they show themselves. Their formless awareness of perfect love made free. Love they show themselves, pure formless awareness of perfect love is freed. And let its awareness, and the original was his will be done. Right? Son of God made free to let his will be done. To let its awareness be present. Will be done. That's how I translated that. The love they show themselves, pure formless awareness of perfect love is freed. So let its awareness be present. My companion, I see the picture of my own belief. And what pure formless awareness of perfect love must be for me. Carry on. Elaine? You there?
Yes, I am. I'm talking. I didn't realize I muted myself there. I was talking. Yeah, sorry. In my companion, I perceive the picture of my own belief in what pure formless awareness of perfect love must be for me. In my letting go, I will understand its love for me, and through my attack, believe it hates me, thinking the state of pure formless awareness must be victimhood. I look once again upon my companion with the understanding that I perceive them. He becomes the way to the state of pure formless awareness or to victimhood. Only do not forget this. The role I give to him is given to me, and I will walk the way I pointed out to him because it is my judgment on myself.
Yeah. So there's the same principle again. You know, if I judge others, I judge myself. Again, a Christian principle in the Bible. Yeshua's quoted famous Sermon on the Mount. He says, you know, that with the same measure that you mete, will it be meted unto you, as you judge another. In other words, so you will be judged. He was teaching, you know, people this principle way back then, but you know, they didn't really get it, and most people still don't get it today's day and age, because it doesn't seem like you're judging yourself and condemning yourself. It seems like you're doing it to another who seems to be real. Takes a lot of awareness, you know, and a lot of this kind of mind training to go, no, I get the game. I'm doing it to myself. They're an image in my dream. So I'm condemning them. In the process of condemning them, I feel that energy of condemnation, right? Real time. The moment I condemn, I'm in the state of condemnation, aren't I? Which means that sin and guilt are real. It's an unpleasant feeling. I'm experiencing that. So then who's condemning? Who's being condemned? I'm condemning myself in that moment, because I'm condemning myself to that negative, unpleasant experience when I could be having pure formless awareness of perfect love, experiencing that instead. So, you know, that it's that obvious. That's why, as you judge others, you're judging yourself, because in that moment, you are then in a state, a negative state that negates pure formless awareness of perfect love. Real time. You're judging yourself and you're condemning yourself to this negative experience instead of pure formless awareness of perfect love. As it says, the way to either the state of pure formless awareness, heaven, or to victimhood and suffering. And I will not forget this, the role I give to them is given to me, and I will go the way I pointed out to them, because it is my judgment on myself. Okay, so read that from the top of paragraph 6 in the alternative, please.
Against the hatred that the extension of perfect love may cherish toward itself is pure formless awareness of perfect love, believed to be without the power to awaken what it extends from the pain of victimhood, but in the love they show themselves. Pure formless awareness of perfect love is free to let its awareness be present. In my companions, I perceive the picture of my own belief in the pure formless awareness of perfect love must be for me. In my letting go, I will understand its love for me, and through my attack, believe it hates me, thinking the state of pure formless awareness must be victimhood and suffering, and suffering. I look once again upon my companions with the understanding that, as I perceive them, they become the way to the state of pure formless awareness or to victimhood and suffering. But I will not forget this. The role I give to them is given to me, and I will go the way I pointed out to them, because it is my judgment on myself.
Okay. Thoughts on that paragraph?
Well, again, it's pure formless awareness of perfect love, believed to be without the power to awaken what extends from the pain of victimhood and suffering. But really, in the love, they show themselves. So pure formless awareness of perfect love is freed to let its awareness be present. So when we're in that holy present moment, we can allow pure formless awareness of perfect love in to free us. It's all by letting go. We will understand love for me and through my attack. And we believe it hates us, thinking that the state of pure formless awareness must be a victim and suffer. So we need to look once again upon our companions, but this time with understanding. And through that, we can enter the state of pure formless awareness instead of the victimhood and suffering. We aren't to forget this. The role is given to us, and we will go the way pointed out, because it's our judgment on ourselves.
My judgment on myself. Yeah. So as I judge others, I judge myself. If I condemn them and attack them, I do it to myself, and that splits my mind. If I do that, then I'm separated from my source. And again and again, he's telling us this. The last, you notice since about chapter 15, the last, say, 10 chapters, he really emphasizes this, the special relationship and changing that, seeing our brothers correctly as the way to salvation, the way to awaken. You must perceive them correctly, irrespective of what they do. That's the challenging thing in this world, because people do all kinds of crazy stuff, and they're often very out of alignment with source, and the ego is holding sway. But yet you must perceive them as they truly are, as the Christ beyond all that, if you're going to experience that for yourself. So you've got to, walk through this world in a way, a forgiving way, or a way where you just let go of everything as it arises. You don't hold on to anything. It arises and it passes away. Thoughts, emotions, sensations, all of it arises, passes away, right? And the quicker you do that, the easier your life is. Okay? It arises, passes away instantly. Oh, it's an experience, arises, thought, emotion, passes away, and off it goes. So nothing sticks, just arising and passing away. But the awareness that then you cultivate through that doesn't arise and pass away. What's observing all of that arising and passing away? Pure formless awareness, the perfect love. That awareness you then strengthen through the process of observing what arises and passes away, you see, which you can only do if you let go. Okay, so any other thoughts? It's a very simple principle. He's been through it many times, but he's done it again today. I think this is the only way. You've got to perceive your brothers correctly, otherwise you choose victimhood and suffering for yourself. Is that really what you want to do? Knowing these principles. So understanding this is the beginning of the end for the ego, because if you understand and accept his logic, you can no longer believe in its logic. And there's going to be something that comes in when you try and, again, just do the normal ego thing, which you may have done for many years. Something then comes in and says, no, that's not right. You're not comfortable with it anymore. And so, this is the beginning of the end. The ego, no matter where no matter how lost you are, you can find your way home in this way. It doesn't matter what you've done. God has no judgment of what you've done. Remember, it's an illusion. Okay, so any other thoughts or comments on that one?
No, it's all good.
Let's look at the executive summary. It's quite short, so just read that. Read the first 2 paragraphs and comment. Maybe that needs to be 1 paragraph. Okay, just read the first paragraph. From In the State of Innocence. Oh, okay, Elaine, where have you gone? Disappeared. Are you muted again, or? No, you're not muted. Elaine, are you there? You there? Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, no, the signal dropped for some reason, yeah. I just shut the door there. Just the cat was going into another room there.
Okay.
2 seconds.
Just paragraph 1.
Yeah, just 2 seconds there. Right. I'll just make sure the door's shut there for the, yeah, right. Sorry, it's just I needed to. Right. In the state of innocence, the desire to attack vanishes, leading to a true perception of the extension of pure formless awareness of perfect love. Guilt loses its purpose when sin's goal disappears. If I view my true self as an enemy, fear takes over. My vision of my companion reflects either my true self or my mistaken identity. By hearing my companion's call to innocence and peace, I recognize the call of pure formless awareness of perfect love.
Call of perfect love. Okay, so what's he saying in that one?
Well, it's again just when we're in the state of innocence, the attack vanishes, and this is when our true self reveals itself. Guilt loses.
Is that what he said in the original? Did he say guilt loses its purpose, or did he say attack loses its purpose?
Well, both really. Yeah.
The need for guilt is gone. Yeah, he did say guilt. True perception and extension of perfect love. My true perception. So when sin's goal disappears, guilt loses its purpose. I view my true self as an enemy. Fear takes over. My companions reflect either my true self or my mistaken identity. There's a special self, shall we? Hearing my companions call to innocence and peace, I recognize the call of perfect love. So again, he's just saying we will see them as either the Christ or a true self or a special self by hearing their companions call to innocence and peace. I recognize the call of perfect love to me. I recognize perfect loves. All to me. Okay. Next one, this awareness.
This awareness urges me to treat my companion with love, understanding that together we find strength and awakening. When I release judgment, my awakener offers me awakening. It's crucial to perceive the innocence in my companion, as it leads us both towards the state of pure formless awareness.
Yeah, so what's he saying there?
Well, our awareness is, well, urging us to treat our companion with love and understanding. And together we'll find strength and freedom and let go of all our judgments, and then our awakening, our awakener offers us awakening. And it's crucial to do this, to find the innocence in our companion, because it'll lead us both to the state of pure formless awareness.
Mm. So they have changed judgment to condemnation. Because when he talks about, when the translation says judgment, it means the condemnatory judgment. You know? The judgment of the Holy Spirit is right-minded judgment. So and he uses the same word, judgment, for right-minded judgment and the ego's judgment, condemnatory judgment. And when I let go of my condemnation, my awakener offers me awakening. It's crucial to perceive. Crucial for me to perceive innocence in my companions, innocence in all my companions, as it leads us both towards the state of pure formless awareness. Okay, carry on to third one.
By allowing him freedom, I too gain my freedom. The way I see him determines his role in my life and my path. Pure formless awareness of perfect love can awaken from the pain of victimhood through genuine love. My perception of my companion dictates whether I move towards the state of pure formless awareness or victimhood. The judgments I cast.
I perceive them determines their role in my life and my path. Their role in my life and my path. Okay, pure forms of the awaken. Can awaken from the payment. Can awaken me. Can awaken us, maybe. From the pain of victimhood to genuine love. Unconditional, maybe, instead of genuine. From my perception of my companions dictates. Interesting, so it used dictates. Determines. But it's kind of a dictate because it's a dictate of your own mind. You know, if you that's what you believe, then that's what you're dictating for yourself.
True. Yes.
I'm your own dictator. So we keep ourselves in the prison of our own belief systems.
We do.
Very, very insane.
It is.
But this is the human condition. We've all done it. Our job is to free ourselves from our self-created prison. Is what this mind training is about. Okay, so my perception of my and determines whether I move towards a state of pure formless awareness or suffer in victimhood. Judgments I cast upon him reflect my self-judgments. Judgments I cast, I never heard that. Judgments I make. Judgments I make on them reflect my what's interesting is you notice that if someone feels guilty for something themselves, then they're much more likely to condemn someone else for the same thing. You notice that
Right, yeah.
from the primary laws of the ego. So if someone's very, condemnatory and righteous about some issue, and they have that themselves. That's why they're condemning it in someone else, because they don't want to face it in themselves. It's easier to project that guilt onto someone else and say, now you're the guilty one, and so God's going to punish you and not me. I'm off the hook because I've offloaded my guilt onto you, which is very childish, but that's how it goes. Judgments I make on them reflect my judgments on myself. Showing the interconnectedness. Interconnectedness of our paths to awakening more. Interconnected nature. Close to awakening or suffering. Okay, what's he saying in the final one?
But by allowing our companions freedom, we too will gain that freedom. So the way we perceive our companions determines their role in my life and my path. And pure formless awareness of perfect love can awaken us from this pain and victimhood and suffering through unconditional love. So it depends on how we see our companions as to whether we can move towards this state of pure formless awareness, or we can go along the lines of suffering and victimhood.
Very simple. As I judge others, I judge myself. And as I free them, I free myself. And that is the simple formula for awakening. Don't forget, you can't do it otherwise. Because if you think you have some kind of oneness with God, but you're still judging your companions, you're confused. You don't. You don't have oneness with God, because the judgment in your mind of your companions splits your mind from your source, separated from your source through that judgment. So this is the only way back. You must start to let go of your judgment, your negative judgments on anyone, in order to free your mind into pure formless awareness of perfect love. And so this is why the emphasis in this course is on relationships. relationship with anyone is a little miniature of your relationship with God. Reflects what's going on in your mind. Okay. And then there's a little key message, so read that. And
Key message of this section is that attack and sin are part of one illusory thought system, and so each seems to be the cause and justify of the other, and they are really meaningless alone. Although each seems to draw a meaning from the other, my job is to perceive my companions correctly as their true self, rather than as persecutors or victims, so that I can perceive myself as the same self and just transcend my own belief in victimhood. I join with my companions to the same destination as them, and it is up to me to decide which destination this is. I make the decision for the state of pure formless awareness rather than victimhood when I perceive them as they truly are, and I am as well.
okay, so what's he saying? I wrote that, by the way. So that's the AI, and this one is human generated.
Well, the key message is about the attack and sin are all part of one illusory thought system. So one seems to cause and justify the other, but all of it is meaningless alone. But each one seems to draw meaning from the other. So our job is to perceive our companions correctly as they truly are, rather than persecutors or victims. We are the same self, one self. So we are all journeying to the same destination. So we make the choice, state of pure formless awareness or victimhood.
And we do it through here's the key thing. We do it through our perception of other people. That's how we make the choice.
Mm-hmm.
So every time you perceive another person, you're making that choice unconsciously. Most people don't know they're making a choice, but you are. And he's getting us to recognize that. It's okay. Well, let's, if you can be aware of it, maybe you can make a better choice. You don't have to condemn them. You can let it go, and you can see the Christ in them. And then you are choosing to be that self by letting it go and identifying with their true self. And you must be seeing it from your true self. Very profound, so simple, but so profound. And that is really the whole message of this course. In a nutshell, just as you perceive others, so you perceive yourself. So let go of your judgments of them, and you let them go on yourself. And then who's to judge you? No one. Okay? Happy with that?
Yes, yeah. All good? Good session?
Yeah? Do you want to leave it at that? Do a quick meditation or call it a
Yeah,
night?
quick meditation. Yeah.
Okay. So we'll do a med on the exec summary. So just making yourself comfortable. Okay, so just sitting comfortably in your favorite meditation posture. Shoulder width apart, your back straight. Cup your hands on your lap, close your eyes. And start off by taking a nice deep breath in through the nose. And you're breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises. And the subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Clench the sphincter muscle. It's the muscle you use to contract the flow of urine, or squeeze the last drops out. That locks the energy in. Feel this warm wave of energy rising up the spine, a tingling sensation maybe up your spine. Drawing it up into your heart center, putting one hand on your heart, connect with your heart space. Breathing in the love, loving awareness. Remind yourself that I'm the body, I'm free. In loving awareness, I'm still as perfect love extends me. I am an extension of this loving awareness. So the peace of perfect love is shining in me now. Blow any negativity out. Clear your mind. Exhale, release. Gone. Pull my stomach into the spine. Expel the last remaining air out. Just rest in this deep state of loving awareness. So now you're just going to breathe and listen as you breathe in through your nose. I'm going to read the summary of this key message of this section to you. So you breathe, you hold the breath briefly while I read, and then when I pause, you exhale out through your nose and you speak the words as affirmations of the truth. And breathing in, and listen to these powerful words in summary of this lesson. So in the state of innocence, a desire to attack vanishes. And exhale out through the nose as you speak those words. In the state of innocence, my desire to attack vanishes. Breathe in again through the nose, leading to my true perception of the extension of perfect love. Breathing in again. And just sphincter muscle, lock the energy and feel like you're drawing energy. When sin's goal, breathe in again. When sin's goal disappears, guilt loses its purpose. Exhale out through your nose and repeat those words. I view my true self, as you breathe in again, if I view my true self as an enemy, yeah, it takes over my mind. The vision of my companions, it's either my true self or my mistaken identity as a special self. Vision of my companions, as you exhale, repeat that, reflects either my true self or my mistaken identity as a special self, small self. Breathe in again, hold the breath briefly as you listen to these words. So by hearing my companions call to innocence and peace, I recognize perfect love's call to me. So breathing in again. This awareness urges me to treat my companion with unconditional love. Understanding that together we find strength and freedom. Breathe in again, and I let go of my condemnation. My awakener offers me awakening. Breathe in again. It's crucial for me to perceive the innocence in all my companions. Exhale, repeat those words. Crucial for me to perceive the innocence in all my companions as it leads us all towards the state of pure formless awareness. So breathe in that state, pure formless awareness. These words are pointing you deeper and deeper into your own mind. To experience this awareness. By allowing them freedom, all of my companions, I too gain my freedom. So I will never to experience my freedom as I free and release them, so I free and release myself. By allowing them freedom, I will inevitably experience my own freedom. The way I perceive them determines their role in my life and my path. my spiritual posture. So one of the ways one could look at this path, Course in Miracles, is that it's a path of awakening through relationships. The pure formless awareness of perfect love can awaken me from the pain of victimhood and suffering through unconditional love. My perception of my companions determines whether I move towards the state of pure formless awareness or suffer in victimhood. Judgments I make on them affect my judgments. Judgments I make on others reflect my judgments on myself. Knowing the interconnected nature of our paths to awakening or suffering. And the key message. So the section is that attack and sin are part of one illusory thought system. So each seems to be the cause and justifier of the other. And just repeat these words and the gap between words that I leave. Breathe in again. But they are really meaningless alone. My job is to perceive my companions correctly as their true self. My job is to perceive my companions correctly as their true self, rather than as I can perceive my companions correctly, and then rather than seeing them as persecutors or victims, I perceive them correctly, so I can perceive myself, capital Self, as the same self and transcend my own belief in victimhood. Journey with my companions to the same destination as them. my journey with my companions to the same destination as them, and it is up to me to decide which destination this is. So I make the decision for the state of pure formless awareness, rather than victimhood and suffering. When I perceive them as they truly are, and I am as well. And so it is. And so just sink inwards for a couple of minutes to end the meditation. Let these ideas just kind of percolate into your mind, integrate them in. Nowhere else to go, nothing else to do. Just sit quietly, breathe, relax, be still, observe the breath flowing in and out through your nostrils. And just sink inwards. And just observe the breath flowing in and out through your nostrils. Go inward, sink inward, deeper and deeper. If you encounter any blocks, there could be any kind of negative judgment on anyone or anything. Talking particularly about people here, so any judgments come up, perceiving someone as separate from you, that they have some evil, some sin, some wrongdoing. Nowhere else to go, nothing else to do, nothing else to think about, just breathe, relax, be still. Surrender into the stillness and the silence of your true self for a couple of minutes of deep, contented silence. So just coming back gently, awareness of the body and the breath, the senses and the world. On the count of 3, open your eyes. So 1, just breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises. A subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Just pausing at the top of the inhale. Scan your mind. Notice any thoughts, emotions, related body sensations, anything that feels at all negative, limiting, a judgment on another, condemnation, attack thoughts, and so on. Breathe into all of this. Breathing in the love, unconditional love, antidote to condemnation of any kind. Feel that pure formless awareness washing all of this clear, and then just to help it on its way, count to 2, you're going to exhale out through your mouth and just blow it all away. Blow it away with the breeze of your breath. Going, gone. Spell all the last remaining air out, and it will go. The nothingness that it really is. It's released. You're free to be as you are. Your true self as pure formless awareness of perfect love has made you, extends you right now. So just feel that, experience that. A few moments, anchor the state in, rooted in this pure formless awareness. You are experiencing the freedom and the peace that this brings. You are the pure formless awareness of perfect love and nothing else. So it is. On the count of 2, just notice the weight of your body pressing down into the chair, your feet touching the ground, noticing what you're feeling with your hands and touching. Maybe there's a subtle taste in your mouth, smell in your nose as you breathe in. Notice what you're hearing and the surrounding environment, just noticing all these things from this very still, calm, and surrendered state of mind, state without illusions, showing you the truth is true. So anchor the state in. Intention to stay here for the rest of the evening and on into your weekend. Use the lesson of today and for tomorrow to just top you up, help you stay connected to this beautiful awareness, your formless awareness of perfect love, we call it, which is your true awareness, your true self. And just stay in that state of completion, of happiness, of peace. So now on the count of 3, open your eyes. Just look around for a minute. Ground yourself back into this so-called reality. Just observing objects in the room around you, quite casually, just let your eyes rest briefly on any object randomly and then on another one. No attempt to select or avoid anything, and notice that this peace that you felt in your meditation is there in your perception. You can close your eyes briefly, notice the peace is there, open your eyes, notice the same peace. So it doesn't really matter whether your eyes are open or closed, the peace is there. God, in other words, this awareness, pure formless awareness, the perfect love goes with you wherever you go. And so you have the peace of perfect love. So it is. So that brings us to the end of the meditation, the end of the session. So thank you to Elaine for joining, making the session possible. Much appreciated. And if you listened on the live stream, thanks for joining us. I hope to catch you on the inside soon. So yeah, look below if you'd like to engage further. You can join me for a masterclass soon. You can sign up to receive Telegram messages from me daily with some inspirational quotes and information. And if you like the channel, subscribe. I hope to see you on the inside soon. Namaste, which means the true self in me acknowledges and honors that same true self in you. Peace.